India is making a strategic play with the Indo-Pacific's smallest nations. This week, Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Papua New Guinea for a summit meeting with the leaders of 14 Pacific Island nations. Despite their size, these nations have become key players in the global competition that is taking over the Indo-Pacific. So what are the Pacific Island nations? Depending on how you count them, there are generally considered to be 14 or 15 Pacific Island nations which dot the Western Pacific Ocean. Some, like Fiji and Papua New Guinea, have larger populations and economies. Papua New Guinea, with a population of around 10 million people, has a GDP of over $20 billion. Meanwhile, some states, like Niue, have a population of just 1,620 people. So why does India, which is among the largest and most influential states in the world, care about these islands in the Pacific? And why did Prime Minister Narendra Modi fly to Papua New Guinea to build closer ties with them? There are a few reasons why. First, the free and open Indo-Pacific. Located roughly to the north and northeast of Australia, these island states are located within or near major Pacific trade routes. These include the North Pacific route connecting East Asia to North America and the South Pacific route connecting East Asia to South America. As tensions between major powers like the United States and China rise, the safety and security of these vital trade routes is of interest to India. In fact, one of the foundational pillars of a free and open Indo-Pacific strategy, which is a key foreign policy priority for India, is that trade routes should remain free and open. Indian partners like the United States, Australia, and New Zealand also support this policy. As military competition in the Pacific between the United States, China, and other regional powers heats up, these Pacific islands and their proximity to major trade routes makes them key players of interest to India. Second, China. Precisely because of their strategic value, China has made a major diplomatic outreach to these countries in recent years. China's growing naval power and regional competition has led it to look for key outposts in the Pacific to project power against regional rivals like America, Japan, and Australia. In 2022, China signed a deal with the Solomon Islands that will allow it to deploy its forces in the country in exchange for economic aid. China also signed a deal with the Kiribati Islands to revive an important airstrip in the Pacific Ocean, once used by American forces during World War II. So why is China interested in closer security ties with these island nations? Well, as former Indian Navy Chief Arun Prakash put it, those places are very strategic if you want to make a naval base or a friendly port. The main worry for Western countries in India is that several of these countries are a void, and China tends to walk into voids and fill them up. America and Australia are particularly worried about China's military strength, since these two countries have been the traditional military heavyweights in the region. Even as Prime Minister Modi visited Papua New Guinea to meet island nations last week, the United States signed a security deal with Papua New Guinea. Third, economics. Some Pacific Island countries have access to large ocean-based natural resources. For example, the Kiribati Islands has an exclusive economic zone that spans an estimated 3.5 million square kilometers, which is larger than India's landmass. Experts say that these economic zones may have valuable reserves of minerals and energy that are currently unexplored. India currently does business largely with Fiji and Papua New Guinea, both of which have large Indian diasporas. It would like to expand and work with other island countries as well. Fourth, climate change. Pacific Island countries stand at the greatest risk of climate-induced catastrophe and have captured global attention for the same. India and these islands agree on the need for increased funding from developed countries for combating climate change. For these four reasons, India has been trying to reach out to Pacific Island nations. In 2014, India held the first edition of the Forum on Indo-Pacific Islands Cooperation, or FIPIC, to boost cooperation in trade, clean energy, and digital connectivity. However, after the second forum meeting took place in 2015, there was a long gap when no forum meeting was held. However, China's increased outreach to these islands has also led to an increase in India's interest in the region. That was why Prime Minister Narendra Modi flew to Papua New Guinea for the third forum meeting after a gap of 8 years. He met with the leaders of Fiji, Papua New Guinea, and New Zealand. During the summit, India agreed to provide support in fields like healthcare, information technology, educational scholarships, and clean energy. However, India is unlikely to play a major defense role in the region. Ex-Navy Chief Arun Prakash said, "But whether it is within our capabilities to sustain ourselves that far out in the Pacific is a question mark. We don't have such deep pockets, and our Navy is also relatively small." While India will focus on health, development, and climate change, it will need its Quad partners like Australia, America, and Japan to shoulder some of the security burden in the region. India's outreach, along with its partners to Pacific Island countries, will be a key test of its economic and defense diplomacy. As the looming threat from China grows, these small nations could prove crucial for India's foreign policy.